to Murder with My Sister.
Murder with My Sister.
Thank you for tuning in this week. We've been experiencing some technical difficulties the last 2 months while we get things off and running.
Girl, technically challenged.
We are Gen Xers, comfortably in our late 40s.
Don't be telling people that shit.
So, yeah, things have not been going so smoothly. We had to be schooled by millennials and xennials, which is actually kind of great.
Yeah, we when we realized we were in over our head, we went right to the source, and we got shit sorted out real fast. Real good.
And now here we are with some delightful giant microphones and some really tight earphones. Very, very tight on my head.
Very tight.
So we are re-recording our first episode, and in order to share with you how things started, we were not sure how we were going to start this off. We weren't sure what the format was. We toyed around with a couple different things, and as I was doing a dive into what we originally were going to talk about, I found another story, and I called my sister and I was like, don't tell me what you're doing. I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing. Let's meet, let's record, and we're going to surprise each other.
And I was like, okay, cool, because I got a story, girl. I got a story for you.
And I had a story for her, and I was so excited. And in her house I came with my laptop and my printed story, and she saw the picture that I had printed, and it was the same picture she printed because we were both doing the same story, which is the Chicago River Killer. Alleged.
So we have a pattern, ladies and gentlemen, and, you know, the police in their infinite wisdom are trying not to panic people, and they don't see any pattern where there's clearly a pattern. But then you get, like, commentary from people who are retired from the FBI and, you know, have lots of experience, and they're like, dude, there's totally a pattern. Get it together, Chicago.
Totally a pattern. And I want to source or state our sources. I used Wikipedia, an article from the New York Post. What? We're in Chicago. NBC Chicago. CBS News and WGN News. Man, I really menopaused on that acronym there. And then also, hey, that's my sister Marie.
I was just thinking, by the by, that's my sister Lisa.
And we're sisters.
We
shared a womb.
From the same sister?
Mother.
Same mother?
Sisters from the same mother.
I know, it doesn't sound right.
Listen, we were both spawned from evil, so it's fine. It's great.
We have bonded in our shared trauma.
And so do you want to get this thing off the ground and moving?
Let's do it.
Let's keep the people of Chicago safe. Let's try and bring some awareness to...
And no, you're not allowed to come for us in the comments about the gun violence. Fuck off.
Go ahead. Chicago is what it is.
It's never changed.
So I'm gonna start by telling you a little bit about the Chicago River. It has a long, majestic, and interesting history. Chicago derives its name from the 17th century French rendering of Chicago or Chicago.
Interesting.
The Native American name for ramps as a type of edible wild leek.
Dude, I find them all the time.
Wait, leek is a vegetable, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a root.
I
would say it's a root.
So, and they grew abundantly near the river. The river and its region were named after the plant. In 1848, the Illinois and Michigan Canal linked the river to the Illinois River and the Mississippi Valley across the Chicago portage. It provided the only water route from New York City to New Orleans through the country's interior and Chicago. It was originally a 6-mile link that had been used by Native Americans for thousands of years. I'm sure they did a great job, and then we came in and fucked it all to hell. And then this was done during the pre-Columbia era before we came in and ruined everything, and they used it for travel and trade. And that's really the extent of the history that I'm going to give you. Today, the Chicago River is 156 miles long. It starts and connects to Lake Michigan through the Chicago Harbor locks. These are in downtown Chicago. They travel through the South Side neighborhoods following the I-55 expressway. So for the people who are native to Chicago, our Chicago River follows right up I-55. And then it does meet up with the Calsag Channel around Rocky Glen Waterfall. You know where that is, on Route 83 and 171.
I've gone hiking out that way.
And then it continues until it merges with the Des Plaines River around the Lockport area, then the Illinois River, and eventually the Mississippi. So the Chicago River is like all the other rivers. It's not the greatest.
It's dirty.
It's dirty.
It's dirty, y'all.
There were some biological tests done recently where they're going to try and start allowing people to swim in the river.
Oh, no.
Stop. Wait, listen. What I was reading was that they were going to test the water every 15 minutes to make sure it was safe. So here's the thing. If you have to test that water every 15 minutes, do you want to know from one 15-minute increment to the next that the water you're in might or might not be infested with fucking bacteria?
And you've been sitting in it for 15 minutes?
Stewing. Just stewing in it.
Dude, it's
orifices.
Disgusting.
Where stuff is crawling. But then it's it's water. So what do people in Chicago love to do in water?
Pee in it?
Dump shit in it. We love to dump shit in water.
I think everybody likes to dump shit in water.
So in addition to this...
Wait, have you ever heard of mudlarking?
Yes.
It's fascinating fun.
Where you dig in mud for treasures.
For treasures.
Don't say treasures. That's trademark.
I don't think it is.
I think it might be.
I don't think it is.
But so we don't want to... Yeah, I've heard of it where you dig, and hopefully you find like something more than a toenail.
That's because we dump shit in it. That's the only reason that it's fun. I
mean, just all up in there. So in more recent history, though, the Chicago River has played a more sinister role, becoming a popular dumping ground for many of the victims of what some people believe is an unconfirmed serial killer that is currently active in the Chicagoland area. And this is the story of the Chicago River Killer, which my sister and I agree is real. We think it's a real thing.
There are a lot of cases that fit the pattern and are frightening. And if the police are able to disprove some of them, great. I don't think they can disprove all of them as being completely unrelated.
Right.
And
so
I'm sorry, what's the definition, right? If it's 2 or 3 or more, it's a serial killer. Period.
I feel like I should know this, but I don't feel like I actually do.
I think it was always 3, and then recently I heard somewhere that if you killed 2 people and it's a bit of a pattern, you're a serial killer.
I mean, we got to trend up, right?
I guess.
And you know what? I'm glad I don't fucking know it, because then that means I just learned something new today. Why don't you Google it on your phone and find out what a serial killer actually is while we're sleeping? You fucking Google it and you listen up.
I'll Google.
So we're going to break this down. I did some research on it. And first I have a timeline that I'd like to go over, and then kind of clustering some of these victims together. The remains of 10 men and 6 women have been pulled from the Chicago River and Lake Michigan since the beginning of 2022, prompting fears of a serial killer terrorizing the community. Patterns have been noticed as the bodies have piled up, including 5 men's bodies that have been recovered in the last 6 months. Some articles have the numbers listed as high as 18, including a couple that died a month apart, and we are gonna fucking talk about it. There have been conversations with retired FBI agents that believe the coincidences can no longer be ignored. I found this online. I am not comfortable naming them. You can easily find it online if you Google any of the information that we're talking about, and then you could see who the FBI agent is that we were talking about.
Oh, I thought you meant the victims.
No, we're going to talk about the victims. They deserve they deserve to be remembered, and they deserve to have somebody talking about this, because it's horrible that this has gone just kind of by the wayside. Mm-hmm. So let's dive right into the victims, because sadly there are far too many, and we are going to review them first in chronological order, and then we can discuss similarities and how they're being grouped. So going back to March 2022, We have Kathleen Martin, 49, of Albany Park, who went missing in March of 2022. Her body was found on Thursday, March 31st, 2022, in the Chicago River in the Bunker Hill area of Caldwell Woods near Milwaukee and Deacon Avenue. So this is kind of a north side if you're from the area. My sister and I are Chicagoans, born and raised South Side. And we do refer to people, anyone who is north of downtown is referred to lovingly as a North Sider. So that's just the way it goes.
Dude, north of Madison, right? Madison and State Street is the
You know what?
ground
You know,
zero.
wait. So ironically, I always considered anybody north of the river downtown
There it is.
as a North Sider. So here we are.
There it is.
Excuse me. So the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office placed the official time of death at 1:58 p.m. Forest Preserve spokesman Carl Vogel said there were indications the body had been in the area for some time, but not a significant amount of time before it was discovered. This is my favorite. So some time, but not a lot of time. So thanks, both.
Can we be more vague?
We're going to vague it out.
Can we be real ambiguous?
Yes.
Yes.
Cook County Medical Examiner's Office records indicate that the cause of death is still pending. It's 2024.
Yeah.
So if it's still pending, I don't know if that's considered an open investigation, which means that the Freedom of Information Act might not cover, and I don't want to know. I don't need to know any of that stuff.
I mean, like, from what I've read in, like, fiction novels, it's a kind of a tactic that the medical examiner might use in order to keep prying eyes. So maybe if there are things that only the killer would know, or if they could use to kind of clarify the case somehow, and you know, the crazy people that like to pretend that they did all these things or whatever, they can be weeded out. So they'll pend it, because if it's not official, then it can't be public record.
Okay. We're going to hop on down to April of 2022. So just 1 month later. So the first one was March 2022. Let's see. So we got March 31st, 2022. Now I'm going to take you to Saturday, April 16th, 2022. So 2 weeks later, if we really want to look at the actual dates, 2 bodies were recovered Saturday from the Chicago River. One woman, Hewitt Sang, I hope I'm saying that right, who was 80, was found around 10:40 a.m. in the Bridgeport neighborhood near the 2800 block of South Eleanor. So again, the Bridgeport neighborhood, now we're back on the south side. The Chicago River is not wide at that point. And it's not one of those things where if you're from the area, if you're in the neighborhood, kids know how to get right on top of that river, using little paths that they weed out in the wood, in the weeds and stuff like that. So it's not like this is something where there's gates and you couldn't get to it, and you know, anything where you could easily fall in there. But I don't know what you would be doing down there.
That's the thing, is that it's dirty, it's garbagey, it's scary looking. It's not a nice place it's not touristy.
No, you're not going
no
down there without
reason.
intent. Like, you're going down there for a reason or not at all.
It's not like when you're in downtown proper in the Loop and it's all fancy and quaint and there's little restaurants. No. Out in the like regular part of the city, it's industrial, it's dangerous. There's, you know, it's just not a place that you would want to be, especially not alone.
So this happened around 10:40 in the morning. An hour later at 11:30, another woman was found near the 100 North Riverside Plaza area. So now we're popping back a little bit north, but this is still downtown, I think. And I can't find anything on this. I can't find a name. I can't find a cause of death. I can't find anything when I did a dive on the internet about this one.
Like a Jane Doe kind of situation.
So now 1 day later, April 17th, an unidentified man was recovered from Lake Michigan Sunday morning at 26th Street, according to the police. So now we are back at the south end. The Marine unit recovered the body of an unidentified man of unknown age from the water at the 3000 block of South Fort Dearborn. The victim was found unresponsive and was pronounced dead on the scene. Autopsy results are pending. This is the third body recovered in 2 days. On Friday, April 22nd, sorry, what's that? Just a few days later?
Like
Oh,
5
yeah.
days later.
The body of Karina Pena Alanis was recovered from the Chicago River and identified as that of a pregnant mother. Karina was last seen 2 weeks prior to this. So this is the first one where there was an amount of time from when she went missing to when she was found. Because even if we go back to Kathleen, it doesn't look like she was gone or missing for a long time. So Pena was a 31-year-old mother of 3 and was last seen in the 4300 block of South Wood Street in the Back of the Yards area. So now again, we're on the south side. Back of the Yards is not too far from Bridgeport. But again, you're in an area where there's not a big... The river isn't huge at that point. It's not, you can see across it. It's gross. It's covered in weeds. You can probably walk right up to it. And then let's also talk about the fact that this happened in April and one of them in March. And if you're from Chicago, you know April and March are still really, really cold here. We might get a 40 or 50 degree day in March, but for the most part, March will fucking kill you if you're not watching out.
It's
like
blustery.
Yes.
It's like chill you to the bone kind of cold.
So we're talking about people who are by this river when it's still really fucking cold.
There's no reason.
No, and there's probably still big chunks of ice because it's
Yes.
not a rapid flowing river.
Yes.
So I just want to bring that into this. The cause and manner of her death remain as yet undetermined.
Wasn't she the one that they said was a suicide? The mom was ultimately a suicide.
So yes. So I don't know that was definite, but
That's how they're trying to say that she's not related to the pattern because she was a suicide.
She was also pregnant.
I don't get it.
And I don't...
And a mom.
I want to be sensitive to how this comment is going to sound. I don't want it to sound harsh, but it might. So I apologize for that. I don't know anything about suicide, but here's what I can imagine. A pregnant woman doesn't want to die by drowning in an icy fucking body of water. There has to be a better way to go than that. So I'm not going drowning as my method of suicide. Like, that's going to fucking hurt.
Yeah.
So this brings us up to 5 in just 5 weeks. 4 women and 1 man who was unidentified. All right, so now we have that couple that I mentioned earlier. This is 26-year-old Daniel Sotelo, who was last seen April 29th. He was dropped off at the CTA train at Roosevelt, the L stop near UIC campus. This is a stop where you can catch the green line, the orange line, or the subway to the red line. So it's a hub. Yes, it's an area where you could be going anywhere if you are dropped off at this. And to give you a little backdrop here, the green line is an L that goes from South 63rd Street, which is South Loop now, out to Forest Park and the Oak Park suburbs. The red line goes south and north following the Dan Ryan Expressway. Sometimes it's underground, sometimes it's a subway in the loop, but for the most part it's an L track. And then the orange line is another L that goes from Midway to downtown. And when it's downtown, it just follows the loop in one little like circle and then goes right back out to Midway.
And for those of y'all not from Chicago, when we say L, we mean EL as in elevated train.
Oh my God, in my paper right here, it says L as in like L, Lisa.
So, like in New York, they'll talk about the subway, because it's underground. But here we have both. I think our L elevated outside, you can see them, trains are more... there's more miles of that than there are subway, but I don't know.
All right. So Daniel was seen on the 29th near the UIC campus. Natalia, I don't know. How do you pronounce that? Natall. Natalie? Am I saying that right? I don't feel like that's Natalie.
Point it out.
Right there.
Where are we looking? Yeah, it looks like Natalie.
Okay. I apologize if that's wrong. She doesn't deserve that. Brookson, age 22, was a senior at the UIC college. She had recently withdrawn, so I only bring that up because I feel like somebody was making something of it. She withdrew from the spring semester. Brookson was last seen at her place of employment where she quit her shift on the 30th. So there's a little bit of controversy around this because Daniel was last seen on the 29th, and now I feel like this is confirmed because a friend dropped him off. And I also feel like Brooks and like Natalie was seen on her shift on the 30th. So if he was missing on the 29th and she hadn't heard from him, but she quit her shift that day, was there something else going on? I don't know.
Was he still okay? Like
nobody had heard from him as far as I can see. That was the last time anybody had been in touch with him. Brookson was found dead on May 2nd in Lake Michigan near Bryn Mawr Avenue or Kathy Oysterman Beach. So now Bryn Mawr Avenue is way up north, and now we're talking Lake Michigan.
I think UIC area, I would still consider kind of more south side than north side. For sure. So if he was in the Chicago River or in the waterways, like he drifted a long way before he was found.
So her autopsy was inconclusive and cause and manner are still pending. Daniel wasn't found until May 22nd. So he's 3 weeks later, and he was found 1 mile off the shore in Lake Michigan in the Wilmette area. His cause of death is under investigation. So we have this couple who was last seen a day apart from each other. We don't know if they were together or not, but they were found miles from each other, one offshore, one of them, further out in the lake. But again, April 29th and May, this is not fucking water you're swimming in. No. It's not pretty. It's not relaxing.
There's still a lot of ice and a lot of snow that hasn't melted. It's treacherous, even in the touristy parts. It's not maintained. Sometimes it's even roped off so you can't walk down the stairs to where the Riverwalk is. It's not someplace that you would go just for kicks.
Right.
You have to have a reason.
So next we have Hayward Brown. Now this is June of 2022, so there's a couple months here. The cause of death on this was accidental drowning, and this one is a little different because he's 34 at the time of his death. He was seen struggling to swim out of the water in Lake Michigan near 31st Street. There's a 31st Street beach, and he was pulled from the water but pronounced dead at the hospital. So I'm stumbling here with what is going on now that we have 3 that were in Lake Michigan. Was the Chicago River getting a little hot? Was the water too rough on Lake Michigan for those winter months? Because we know you don't go on Lake Michigan with a little tiny boat. Not in the winter. You're not coming back out. So is that something that needs to be taken into consideration, that the fact that he was, or that whoever was doing this maybe didn't have access to the lake, and now it's a little bit nicer, so now maybe they do? I don't know. So now here's a little break in the pattern that starts here. Took the summer off. I'm not sure what's going on there. The next couple of deaths,
he was on vacation.
Share more similarities than the rest of them. So this first couple, or these first few that I had shared with you, there's some variations in the age, where they were found. One was pregnant, gender, Lake Michigan, Chicago River. So I'm gonna give them a little itty bitty leeway here. When we jump into what happened in December and the next series, there's too much in common for these to be ignored. So in December of 2022, there was a 21-year-old Polish businessman, Krzysztof Schubert, who was reported missing on December 3rd after leaving a River North party. He was staying at a hotel in Joliet, but was downtown for a work party. The Cook County Medical Examiner's Office said, I hope I'm saying that right, Schubert, his body was recovered from Lake Michigan in the area of the Oak Street Beach on December 7th. So he was last seen on the 3rd. He was recovered on the 7th. The medical examiner determined that the cause of death was drowning with ethanol intoxication as a contributing factor. And the manner of death was ruled accidental. Okay, so 21-year-old kid. I remember seeing this in the news because he was staying at a hotel that was, well, I don't want to say where it was. But I was like, oh my God, I hope they just find him. Plus he was not from here. So I knew that had to be especially hard on his family who were from Poland. Like they can't get here to find their son. On December 17th, so now just 10 days later, a 25-year-old Northwestern doctoral student, Peter Salvino, disappeared after leaving a party in the Lincoln Park area. Officials say Salvino's body was recovered from the Diversey Harbor off the 2400 block of North Cannon Drive on December 20th. So it missing on the 17th. He was found 3 days later after he was reported missing. Salvino's cause of death mirrors Joubert's. The medical examiner determined that he had drowned with ethanol intoxication as a contributing factor. His death was also ruled accidental. 21, 25, both from a party, both ethanol intoxication.
Now,
I mean,
there was nothing in anything that we were able to look up or find in the news that with the first series of people that disappeared and were found in the water the year prior, whether or not there was any alcohol intoxication involved or any of the like drug toxicologies. Like none of that stuff was given out in the media result wise. So we don't know if those things were possibly true of any of the previous ones. Like, you know, okay, conspiracy theory, like there is a serial predator, that person drugged or gave those people alcohol, and that's how he gained control of them, and that's how they ended up being overpowered and put in the water and that sort of thing. They don't say anything about that.
They don't say a lot of anything about anything. And again, we're talking about a really cold time in December. So we're now at the end of 2022, and the total numbers are standing at 5 women and 5 men. And this is not the end of our story. It's not even close to over. As we enter 2023, we're going to keep adding to the numbers, starting with Anthony Rucker. In February of 2023, Anthony Rucker, who was 23, was reported missing on February 13th. Chicago police recovered his body 3 days later on February 16th. Now we're back in the Chicago River near the 3700 block of South Pulaski Road. So we are back in the Chicago River. We're back on the south side. Pulaski is about, I mean, I don't want to say this wrong because I know we haven't been in the city for a long time, but isn't like 7 miles from downtown? If like as the crow flies, how do they say?
I feel like it's longer than that.
I feel like it's a mile between like Pulaski and Kedzie, and then Kedzie and California, but I could be totally wrong.
I think it's longer than that.
Is it?
I think it's more than a mile between.
God, we used to walk so much.
I know we did.
Fuck.
Yeah, we did.
Fucking walking. And the medical examiner's office determined that Rucker had taken his own life, and the primary cause of death was ruled as a drowning. 23 years old, decided that February was a good time to throw himself into the river. I think not.
I can't imagine.
On February 17th, just a few days later, Joel Orduno, 24, was last seen at his Logan Square residence. So now we're back on the north side on February 17th before his disappearance was reported to Chicago police. Nearly a full month later, officers said Orduno's body was discovered in the Chicago River in the area of the 2700 block of North Leavitt. Leavitt. Chicago police say a death investigation in the case has been closed and the death has been classified as non-criminal. On June 21st, the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office closed Orduno's case, officially ruling the cause of death as a drowning, and the manner of the death is undetermined. He was 24, 21, 25, 23, 24. All men, all back in the Chicago River.
All maybe out partying with somebody who might be a predator.
100%. And who's to say, I mean, and I know this is something women are hyper aware of of their surroundings because, or we try to be, who's to say that men are any less of a target? I feel like they're more.
I feel like you're right. Like they're not any less of a target, and they're a little maybe easier because they're not even thinking about it.
Right.
Not even a little.
Except that who would have no trouble drugging and carrying around another guy?
Yeah.
Right? Because, he can handle it.
I mean, female bodybuilder, but, let's get nuts.
Okay, and if a female bodybuilder was seen in 4 places where people had gone missing, we would have fucking known about it. We'd have fucking heard.
True story.
So in May of 2023, there was an unidentified woman. Everything on this is unavailable. The cause of death, where she was found, just that in the midst of all of these young men, there was a woman who was found identified in the river. That's all I know.
So if I'm not mistaken, that's the one that later in the story, when I was reading up on all of this, it said that woman had a NamUs, a national blah, 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 missing persons thing. She had a NamUs profile, and it's since been taken down. And that usually might mean that the person was identified, like next of kin needed to be notified and that sort of thing. So, but they don't elaborate. They don't say anything more, just that she was found and then that was the end of it. So we don't know.
Well, hopefully somebody did find her. Hopefully somebody recognized her and claimed her, and she's been given the burial that she deserves.
Yeah.
In April, 21-year-old U.S. Navy service member Seamus Gray disappeared after he was seen leaving a Waukegan bar on Saturday, March 18th. According to the authorities, Gray was last seen around 1:35 a.m. on March 18th, leaving Ibiza nightclub located at 17 North Genesee Street in Waukegan, about 40 miles north of Chicago. Gray was reported missing when he did not check in at the naval station in the Great Lakes base, where he was due back by 2 a.m. Security footage from outside Ibiza nightclub shows Gray just before 2 a.m. standing and talking to a group of people. At one point, you see Gray on the ground, and then someone in the group appears to grab the wallet from his pocket and then throw it back at him. Later in the video, Gray is seen taking off down a nearby alley. In an interview, the Ibiza manager, Adrian Hernandez, says Gray entered the nightclub twice early Saturday morning. So this would have been between 12 a.m. and 1:35. But he was ultimately escorted out for being too intoxicated. So he was clearly serviced at another bar and was looking to continue on his partying. I looked at the Google Maps, and the bar is only a 0.9 mile walk to the nearest pier, which is Government Pier. So for a military man, 0.9 miles would clearly be like 10 minutes maybe of a walk.
I mean, I can walk a 20-minute mile, and let me tell you, people, I'm out of shape.
Right. And April is, again, it's one of those crazy times of the year where it could have been a really beautiful night. It could have been 70 degrees. Yeah. And after experiencing 6 months of 17 below zero and fucking wind chills burning your skin off, this would have felt like, I mean, oh my God, it would have been like summertime.
For some people, it feels like you should be wearing a coat and whatever. But if it's sunny and it even gets close to 50, we're out there with shorts on.
That's the meme. Have you ever seen? Yeah. Chicago and 50s. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Everybody's got flip flops on, and like anyone from California would be wearing a parka.
No, it's so the one I'm talking about is like, this is Chicago at 50 degrees in September, and everybody's wearing sweatshirts and hoodies and like scarves and hats, and then Chicago in 50 degrees in March, and everybody's wearing flip-flops and shorts and tank tops.
I just want it to be over.
It's the same degree, but because we're all warm-blooded from the summer, we're fine. So in April, this poor guy was out drinking, having a good time, and he's like, fuck it, it's nice. I'm going to take a quick walk over to the Mile Pier. His body was found on April 19th, a full month later, when a group of ComEd workers doing routine work near the harbor said they saw a body in Lake Michigan. So he was found in the lake. According to the spokesperson for the Lake County Coroner's Office, no significant injuries were found. The body was had toxicology testing discovered a blood alcohol concentration of 0.14, well over the legal driving limit, but he wasn't driving, he was walking.
Yeah.
The medical examiners considered this to be a life-threatening amount. I don't even know how I feel about that. A preliminary autopsy determined Gray's cause of death to be drowning. So now we are in June of 2023.
And that was one of the other things, like, they determined the cause of death as drowning because there was water in the lungs, meaning that he had gone into the water, he was still alive. And then I think on those earlier cases, they've never actually established whether or not those people had water in their lungs, if there was enough remaining to be able to determine that. I don't know.
Right. Well, I think, like, to what you were saying, though, if they're keeping the investigations open, they don't have to release any of that information.
Yeah.
And I respect that. Like, who am I to tell you that you have to tell us?
They can keep it close to the vest.
If you think that this is going to help you catch somebody someday, then by all means keep it. Now, if we're 10 years down the road and all of this has been forgotten, then what does it matter if you tell us what the cause of death was?
Yeah.
Then you're hindering. Like, I get you want to have a, what do they call it, prosecutable case.
Yeah.
But to what end? You have to be able to prosecute somebody first.
Yeah, you got to find someone first.
Release a little bit of that fucking information, give us something to go on, and then
maybe we can help.
Maybe we could catch somebody. And then more people don't have to die.
True story.
In this case, however, we're not done. Noah Enos in June of 2023. Noah went to a King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard concert.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
At Chicago's Salt Shed with a coworker.
Yes.
His girlfriend, Nicole Widges, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, told NBC Chicago that Enos texted her and sent her messages on Snapchat throughout the night, including a picture inside the venue. She said her last messages from Noah were around 9 p.m. that evening. His phone died about an hour later. They did review some footage, and they saw him and his coworker walking around the venue around 9:30. They said the show ended at 10, so there was a 30-minute gap where they were looking to see if maybe he would have gone somewhere else in the venue. Enos's coworker said they got separated at the show as the show was ending. On June 17th, his body was found in the Chicago River. Cook County Medical Examiner's Office said that the body was pulled from the river near the 1300 block of North Elston, and detectives are conducting a death investigation pending autopsy results. I watched the news footage of her talking to, it was her and his brother, and it was heartbreaking. You can't watch it without crying. And she said in that footage, I'm paraphrasing here, she said that she knows he wasn't the first, and she hopes that he's not, or that she said, I sure as shit hope he's the last.
Yeah.
So she knew other stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just heartbreaking because these are all men now, all in their 20s. It's hard to look over this as coincident. I'm going to have to oil this chair because I can't help but creak when I move.
And this was 2023 that Noah disappeared and was found?
Yes.
Okay.
This brings the total to 16. 6 women and 10 men. The next are stories that aren't related but could be relevant. One of them in Calumet River, Javon Nelson, 24 years old, went missing on April 9th, 2024. He was last seen leaving his girlfriend's apartment near the 3200 block of East 92nd Street, blocks from where his body would later be discovered. They said Nelson disappeared after calling police for help. He also called his mother, who said that he was gone by the time she reached us. She said she was on the phone. He was calling her for help.
Oh, no.
Yes. Can you help me? Can you hear me? And she said she didn't hear anything. Nelson was described as a 5'9" tall, 140-pound black man. He had dreadlocks and a neck tattoo, and he was last seen wearing a gray jogging suit. Nelson's remains were eventually located 3 weeks later in the water at around 7:50 a.m. in the 9100 block of South DeSable Lakeshore Drive. So now, do you remember after we talked about this and then I had an update for another man that went missing? It's on the text messages that I sent you. So you have to go back to...
Dude, I'm telling
Girl,
you, it's like one head. One
fuck,
head sharing
big
a
old
brain.
fucking brain.
Just saying.
Get in there.
Sharing a brain.
Take it away.
All right. So after we made this recording the first time, my sister sent me a text message about another, and I don't know where you saw it on Facebook or something. There was something, Philip Vasquez, age 41, male, missing person. He disappeared from the vicinity of East 116th Street, 200 block of East 116th Street in Chicago. There was a lot of urgency surrounding potentially, hopefully, finding him quickly because he has a seizure disorder, and he left the house without his medicine. So they were like, every moment that he is missing is really bad because he could have a life-threatening seizure. But no one's found him. He's still missing. And he fits this pattern.
So, he still hasn't been found?
According to this, he's still missing.
All right, Google that really quick. We're going to do some real time on this one. I'm looking at the map that I have at the end of this. Number 4, Eden De La O, 31. I don't have a story on him.
He was the one that I found like as a separate, but some people were including him in this because he was also found in the water.
And that... Huh. All right, we owe him an update on this then when we find it.
Spell his last name.
Eden? Is that who you're talking about?
Yeah.
Come on. It would be DELAO. And it's 3 like DE space LA space O. His first name's Eden. Do 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 do.
Do, 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 do.
Do, 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 do.
So it says that he was actually found in 2022 in April. There was another one in April of 2022.
So, I mean, come on.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
31-year-old man recovered from a Chicago River.
Look at that beautiful face.
So last seen April 3rd. 3400 block of Southwestern. Dude, that's my neighborhood.
Yeah, that, hello, our.
I'm just saying.
Fuck, you didn't live there alone.
I'm just saying. And then he was found in the water.
I hear your dogs.
I know. I love them. They're stupid. And he fits the same kind of pattern. You know, young guy, out drinking.
Yep.
Easily overpowered.
So is there a serial killer?
I think even if the very first year when there were a lot of people pulled from the water, maybe all of them didn't fit any physical pattern except for being found in the water, but like gender and age and whatever, it was kind of all over the place. But that the bodies in 2023, the people they all are almost, they're the same.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. Now, the other reason that this is on everyone's radar, so to speak, and people are wondering if there is a serial predator is because of the algorithm.
I didn't talk about the algorithm in this one. I believe the next next story that we did is where I finally mentioned that.
So the algorithm it's called MAPS.
Yep.
The founder is an investigative journalist who developed a computer program that can see different patterns of cases that might fit being related. So he developed this computer program, and he tested it initially on known predators like Ted Bundy and his victims, the Green River Killer and his victims. And when they ran the test program on these different clusters of cases, they all lit up. It was like it was identifying it. And so they could prove that it worked because those were known cases, victims and serial killer. So then he started applying the program and technology to different places. One in Ohio, and the police took them very seriously and formed a task force. There was one in Chicago. I think there were actually multiple, unfortunately, in Chicago.
Yeah.
And then that's where they found the Chicago Strangler, as they're coining that name, but they think that that might actually be more than one predator over like 20 years, just kind of doing the same as the one before kind of a thing. That's where they found that Dion Vance guy, and his victims were, the ones that we know of were primarily in Indiana. We're pretty sure he confessed that there were more and that there were victims in Illinois, but he didn't disclose that. And I think he's dead, right? Is he dead yet?
You know what? We are going to actually find out more about that one in episode 3.
Yeah, I can't remember if he died or not yet.
We cover the Chicago Strangler in our next episode, and then we hop right on over to Indiana for that fucking scumbag.
Yeah.
So hold tight. If you're curious about it, hold tight. You're going to find out soon enough.
And to date, we don't know anything about Philip Vasquez. If anyone knows anything about him, he's been missing since June. Unfortunately, they fear that he would be deceased regardless because he's been without his medication for a long time. But if anyone knows anything about him, contact the Chicago police.
All right. Are you ready? I gotta get those doggies to calm down.
The
gonna
dogs are ready.
Sign off with a "Come on, George, let's go."
I love it. Don't park next to vans, people.
And roll up those windows.
Roll up your fucking windows.
Come on, George, let's go.
Let's go.
I think I should say my "Come on, George, let's go" last. Oh, I'm on this computer trying to stop that one.
Mixed and edited by me, Marie Abinante, parentheses, sort of professionally, end of parentheses. Executive produced by my sister, Lisa Linsner, and me, Marie Abinante.
Music by John Bartman, track City Girls. Cover art by our beautiful and talented niece, Alexis Marie Guerrero.
And we did all of this on our platform called Riverside, which is very user-friendly and lovely, and I hope it sounds good and looks good, and Riverside, forgive us for embarrassing you.
And thank you.
And thank you.